Hi, my name is Wanda. I'm going to channel, which means I allow energy to pass through me and it turns into a vibration in my throat and a message. So today we're going to have a discussion with Ash here and we'll see what comes up. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe, don't forget. And I can do private channeling sessions, just let me know. And also there's a Facebook page, Messages of Love from Beyond, which this will also be posted on.
And your new book is coming out shortly.
It's shortly.
That's it.
Okay.
All right.
You are quite relaxed. You are sitting now at a place where you are able to receive much information. This is this place, if you're able to feel the level that is, there's the precise word is level energetically, so that all information can come. You are an open receiver or conduit at this time. It is not always your way. There are times when you are thinking of other things, but at this moment, you have brought your energy forward to this exchange, place of exchange, where you're able to receive without judging the information. So you are at a receiving place. Do you understand how this is a different energetic exchange, yes, or conversation, you would call it, where you are sitting at a different place. You are not an instructor, you're not a teacher, you are a receiver of information. Are you able to feel the difference here?
I feel quite relaxed from, I went for a walk in the woods this morning with my dog, and I think that kind of puts me in a mental state ready for this. I was excited to have the session just because we haven't spoken for quite some time, so I was looking forward to that. But I don't, other than just feeling relaxed and at peace with myself, I don't feel like my mind is quieted or is any different cognitive state than it normally would be.
This is a place where you sit, and it's important for you to notice this. So if you're able to reflect back upon this conversation, you will see that you come into conversations with others with different agendas, therefore different energy. In this exchange, you are coming in as a curious, we hesitate to say student, but it's a word you're thinking of. So you come in as one who's wishing to learn or receive information from another. You don't always have these conversations. Many times you come in to instruct others, but at this situation, it's important for you to notice how you bring yourself into conversations or exchanges, such as this and many others. We don't wish to linger on this point. It's just a noticing for you that you bring, that you are capable of bringing different aspects of yourself forward. So be careful what you bring to conversations. You are either a leader, you're an equal, or you are a willing student.
Very good.
This we just wish to point out to you. In this case, you are wishing to exchange information. So what is it we will speak of?
Well, I was thinking about different questions that were going through my mind, but what keeps coming up as a recurring thought is the concept of evolution and evolving the soul through this experience of this human experience of being on the earth. And we've talked about this in different contexts, or many comments around it in various conversations. So I'm reflecting back on some of those other discussions. And in one comment you said, you come down, one case you're the murderer, and the other case you're the murdered. And as a soul, you're not treated any differently. You're treated from a place of love, from the universe of love. And I'm just wondering about So I'm trying to relate that, I guess, back to evolving yourself. Um, or is this just a random? So I guess my question was, is this when you come back to Earth in a life, is this just a random personality that you're being adopting in order to fulfill or I guess really follow the lead of the ego of that individual? Or
That's
are
where
you
you've gone astray right there. You were
okay?
pretty good up until that point.
All right. So I guess I'm wondering what's driving, like when you say we come and we feel like going through some of these lessons and trying to reposition our thinking to approach life from a different perspective. Is that something we carry on into other lives, or is that information just for this life and then it's lost and we would start off whatever the circumstances are in the next life over again?
Now, before we begin with this conversation, it's important for you to understand your own personal agenda with the question. So you have a certain idea here that you wish to be true, which is you wish to be yourself evolved each time. You wish to get better each lifetime. So as you bring this question forward, watch or be aware of what you are wishing the answer to be, or how you wish to sway the conversation. For this is important noticing for you. And this idea that I want to get better each lifetime because I feel like I must be better each time. I must learn. I'm a student of life. This is a philosophy you have. So therefore, you've taken it beyond this lifetime to all of your lifetimes. You're assuming that all of your lifetimes are similar to this one. I learn, I master, I move forward, I get better. So you're thinking, must be the way of all of my existence time. So it's important for you to notice this as we bring forth the information here, so you don't have so much resistance to the answer or the exchange. Now, when you mention the word ego, you are very precise there. So you are speaking from information during our exchanges, which have been consistent. Consistently, you are, and all humans are, love energy. You come in and out of human in a flash. In, out, in, out, in, out. It's just as if you're throwing away your baseball hat. In, out, in, out. So this mere idea of in, out, taking the hat on and off implies that there can't be too much importance on each life, the way you shed them so easily. All right, so just try to sit with that, because you're a little uncomfortable with this notion. So just by the mere fact you come in and out, that means that you're willing to shed one life and let it go and enter into a brand new one with totally different circumstances, a different human frame and everything, and mostly forgetting what you knew before. Many of you forget all of it, some of it, some all of it, some a little bit, and each time there is different rememberings. So this time you yourself have discovered as of late this sort of notion of some otherworldly information that you can get your hands on. This may or may not be the case the next time, and it may or may not be the case the last time. So you easily come in and out of frame. Therefore, there's a certain understanding that energy is eternal, and your life that you live is for the experience that you have while you're in it. Now, the reason that you wish it to be a little better each time is because you have a successful idea of living life. When you imply this, that you must get better each time, you're leaving out all of the humans who get worse. Now, the humans who get worse are no better or worse than you. So you certainly can't say they are obviously not getting better. They're not evolving, because then you would be judging that as if you yourself are the judge of the universe, and you are not. You know a very small portion of one little life, and you have a little bit of glimpses of others, but you mostly know just a little bit. So by implying that you're getting better and someone else is getting worse, you see the disparity there. So it cannot be, it is impossible for humans to evolve and get better each lifetime. Or at this moment, after being exposed to many, many human lives, you would all be floating around there in great kindness and love towards one another. And you are surely not. Many of you are way back at the very beginning, where you will take another life very easily of another human being, which is a very fundamental learning. Taking another human's life. That's your very first learning there. And yet that's still going on. And that human who's taking another life has also lived as many lives as you have, some greater and some lesser than this life. So the thing, now, as having said all of that, the thing you despise most is the word random. Oh, you hate this word. You like life to be predictable. You like things to get better. If you work harder, you get better. If I'm a better human, then I'm taking all of humanity with me. This is not so. And you know this. You can't really argue that point, because you know there are some humans who are very base, at a very base level. But the word random, why is that it bothers you so much? Why can't you come into one lifetime and see what happens? Have some fun, have some disaster, whatever happens in that life. What is so wrong with having a random life? You see, this is where you feel the resistance to this idea. You have great resistance to having a random life. You wish everything to be orderly and precise. But what if you're there just to have fun, or to make a disaster of it, or to come in very quickly and leave immediately? What if lives were like that? What if they actually were baseball hats? Would that be would you yourself then be very unhappy to live in human form, to know that it's random, and perhaps the next time you yourself will be knocking humans over the head and taking their lives, even after all the work you have done this time to evolve? Would that be such a huge disaster for you?
I guess it would clarify my understanding, because my assumption is that you would progress, as you talk about old souls, and old soul, somebody who would, you might refer to as an old soul, would seem to have a wisdom that might be beyond what their experiences are through the life. So for me, and even doing this work and offering this to others, it seems like, well, what's the point if come back and everybody's a murderer next time? Or I appreciate the randomness, because it does allow it allows the richness of life, and that if everybody liked the same flavor of tea, then I don't know, like the same color, we'd all be wearing the same color clothes, and it would just tend to make for a more, let's say, a muted existence. So I appreciate that different opinions and personality styles bring richness to humanity.
There's
But
more than that. There's more, it's bigger than that. That's a very small notion. The larger notion is you have great freedom to live a life of your choosing. Every moment you come in, and every moment in a lifetime, you are able to live a life free of control. You are free, no matter what your decision are. And this is the most important thing, that you decide that you are free beings and you are not controlled by a higher entity or universe of love. You are free beings.
but you
You
would be
understand the value of this.
well, I guess it depends how you define freedom. Um, some people are captive because of their circumstance. Depending on the location they might be born in the earth, and
Yes.
their opportunities that they have available to them. They might not be able to use their intelligence to better themselves, or to have a peaceful, easy life, and have more enjoyment in life. My life could be quite a drudgery for them because they're just in survival mode, because that's the circumstance that they've landed into, right? And
Yes.
I'm understanding that that could be quite random.
And we do not mean freedom to live happily. We mean freedom to live. You may remove yourself from your life experience anytime you wish. Correct?
Right. Yeah. That would be pretty dramatic from a human perspective. That's a pretty drastic action to take, to decide that circumstances are so oppressive that you're just going to remove yourself from the earth.
Yes. And that mere thought keeps you in a life experience until the very end of your time, which
Mhm.
may turn around to make it worse. You may come into contact with another special human.
Mm.
You don't know, but you're free to come and go as you please. You're free to notice another human interacting and notice if it is something wondrous or something awful. There are many points of freedom. Now, this may be argued on a human level that many are oppressed, but underneath it all, you are in a human form. You do not have to be. You may stay in non physical. Before you came into this, we are
Mhm.
referring all the way back to the first moment you decided to take a breath. You are not pushed into a human form. You are
Mhm.
never pushed into human existence. You may float around and assist humans as much as you like and never come back to the human earth. But there are many of you. You are one. This human is one. They're all around you. You can see them, the humans. They've all decided, I think I'll go give it a go on the earth. I think I'll see what happens. I think I'll go there to bring some love. I think I'll go there to make a little trouble. I think I'll go there to stir things up and make a difference. There are many different ideas. Now, we will tell you that's your idea the moment before you take a breath. When you take the breath, you've forgotten it.
Mhm.
But the moment before, when you decide to come into physical form, that's you in energy turning into physical form.
Mhm.
So it's important to know that you're not randomly made into humans. No one is forcing you. And when you're in your human experience, it's not always going to be wonders. The next time you might be quite a little terror, but that will be also part of the energetic, your energetic experience.
So that's where I was going with the comment about ego, is like you might come in and at one point and have I would say, call it an enlightened view of life, for the lack of a better term. And then the next time, if it's random, and the intent to, you're simply giving the intent to come in, and you're being provided this opportunity, but you might come into a circumstance where there's a lot of violence in the household and drug addiction, and your people are in survival mode then in that circumstance, just trying to get through life. So you made the comment before about life. You're here, coming here to have was here to be an enjoyable experience. Life wasn't meant to be drudgery, as
No,
I think
not
you
not
said.
not enjoyable. A rich, full life, and
Okay.
that can be a disaster. Rich, full life does not mean happiness and picking flowers all the days. A rich, full life could be living in your car on the edge of town. Now, try to get your head around that one. It means living a full life instead of being energy.
Hmm. Well,
So
I
it
guess
is rich
there's
and full.
and I can understand that somebody who's living in their car on the edge of town might be very happy with those circumstances and feel very free, compared to, say, somebody that's in the corporate world and is being driven by, the
Yes,
agenda of the job, and
yes.
basically a hostage of their job. So I can understand that there could be freedom and richness in that experience. I guess, I struggle with, well, what about people that come in and they're like literally starving? There's no food for them, and their children are dying because of famine, and they're placed in that kind of experience. It's be very stressful, and I can hardly imagine it, from even the point of view of richness. It's like, do you need to experience that?
Perhaps we
I
just
struggle with that part of it, I guess. It's like, how do we as humanity deal with all of these, or how do we, is it our point to even try and make anything better? Or do we just acknowledge everybody's on their own path and got nothing to do with us, and we all just carry on our way? I mean, I'm struggling with that concept.
Yes. Let us bring this right back to you. The reason that you are able to consider this largeness is because you yourself are spared from this. Now, if you are starving to death, you're not wondering about saving others. You're wondering about saving yourself.
Mhm.
If you have moved to a place of great capacity, such as you, now you are called to larger capacity. One who is starving only cares for themselves. What are they going to eat? All right, just one human being. That's all they've got.
Mhm.
But you have had a different experience. And that's why you are called to a larger experience, a larger giving capacity to affect more humans. It's
Mm.
something you wished for. You wish to influence others. Now, do you suppose that's because perhaps the last time you were visiting the earth, you were starving to death yourself and could not help anyone but yourself? You were very self absorbed. And
Mm.
now you're having the opposite experience.
Mm.
So you yourself are called for more. You yourself are stretched as thin and as wide as possible to help others, because that's your inner calling. You feel it, you've mentioned it, you know it. You
Mhm.
know there's a part of you that is to serve others. Do you understand that you would not have such a strong calling for that unless you yourself experience the actual self absorption of trying to find something to eat so you don't die today?
Well, if we've all lived many, many hundreds or thousands of lives potentially, then presumably some of those lives would have those circumstances in it, because that's just part of living on the earth at different times. So I can
Yes,
appreciate that. I guess I come back to uh, maybe this is just my notion of evolution, coming back to the initial question, is like, once you can understand that and appreciate, um, I guess you might call it, developing that sense of wanting to care for others, and that in that loving context of helping others. I would say that's a kind of a shift in evolution from somebody who's just thinking about themselves or being very materialistic, right? They've got to have a bigger, better car and a bigger, it's got to be more opulent, and they're very self-absorbed in the material world. You see that a lot. They can be quite wealthy, but they have no interest in helping others. It's just about show.
yes.
So
There must be
um,
both. You understand this,
so
yes? You understand there must be a person living in their car who's angry and bitter, a person living in their car who's happy and joyous, a rich human who obtains all sorts of riches and is happy, and a rich person who obtains all sorts of riches and is distressed.
mm,
You understand it takes all. Both, this cannot be narrowed down into a small discussion. This is a large discussion of humans having an experience on your earth.
mhm.
Now, do you wish to speak of other things, or will you continue on this path, or this singular discussion of evolution and de-evolution?
Well, again, I'm just trying to understand this concept more. So you've provided some insight for me. So I guess what I'm understanding then is it's still a random event. So the fact that we have these different, call them character styles in the earth for richness, that your choice to come into the earth is still, or into human form, is still a random acceptance. So, yes, you're agreeing to come in, but the circumstances to which you're coming into will just vary randomly as opposed to
Let us give you
any
just a
kind of
bit more.
path.
Let
Okay.
us narrow this slightly for you. The moment before you step into human form, you have an idea. You have an idea to bring love forth, to make a difference on the earth, to heal the earth. So you have this sort of notion. Then you step into human form. Most or all sometimes leaves you. Sometimes there's a little bit of it that stays with you. Now, if you, the moment before, said, I am going to share love to those who are starving on the earth, because you've been watching them and supporting them in non-physical. So there might be a little bit of that that stays with you, and you don't really remember it all of the time. But there's something inside of you that causes you to go to places where there's starving children. And you don't know why, but there's just that little tiny thread that draws you there.
Mm.
So in a way, you say life is random, but you cannot say it's completely random, because some of you retain a certain calling that you cannot describe. You cannot know, but you're just drawn to certain things. That is from your non-physical notion before you stepped into human. So it's not easy to say life is random. What we say is, you knew a moment before, some threads retain somewhere within you because you are an energetic being. And then you have a rich, full life, no matter what it looks like. It's a rich, full life because the other way you exist is an energy just floating around, calm as can be, with love energy. So this is a rich, full life because you can feel. You have a human body. It aches, it dances, it cries. You have emotions. You pull your hair out. Everything. That's why it's a rich, full experience. So it is not precise to say that it's random. Is
Okay,
that
I guess
understandable?
very good. It's, I guess I'm thinking about the circumstances that you come in. So it's I guess taking it back to myself, I feel like a strong urge to want to share with others and to try and help their
Yes.
situation.
Yes.
So was that an intent? So taking that back before coming in, was this something I decided well, I'd like to do this, and now I'm being given the opportunity through being in a
Yes.
certain economic status and being brought
Yes.
up in a particular location that
Yes.
enabled me to manifest that
Yes.
in
A
reality.
tiny, tiny part of you had a calling to this. A
Right.
tiny part that you would sometimes forget. And yet it was something that was burning, a burning desire, some would call it, unexplainable even. And
Hmm.
perhaps doing random acts that don't make any sense to anyone else. That's your energetic being. Is that understandable?
Yeah, no, totally. I was trying to relate that to circumstance because I think that I'm privileged in that I'm in a financial and economic and political situation that we're not fighting for survival here, yet other people in the world are. So I was reflecting on that about, well, what a privilege to have the um, I think about in psychology they talk about Freud's sort of levels of what do they call it? The five. It was like 5 levels of kind of awareness. So the base levels, you're just fighting for physical
Yes.
food and shelter, and at the end, you're looking at self-realization. And I'm feel it's fortunate for me that I feel like I've kind of in that place where I can think from that perspective. But
Yes.
only because I've been fortunate in my life to be in these circumstances.
Because perhaps the last time you were starving to death and died very small.
Mm. Mm.
Let us move on, shall we?
Very good. Okay. Yeah, that was just it's been something that's dwelling in my mind lately. So
You have come to feed the hungry, yes,
yes. Mm.
because you have starved to death yourself.
Mm. Interesting. All right. Wanted to make a comment that I've been noticing more magic appearing in my life lately, where
Yes.
I'm having very magical I call them surreal situations where I'm meeting individuals. And I think it's
Yes.
just because we're connecting on an energetic level in a different way than before. But I'm
Yes.
having people that are coming into my life now that are having conversations with folks that I wouldn't normally have.
And yet it's your higher calling. Again, back to the higher calling, that
Mm.
idea that there's something you just can't resist. Wow, I really must do that. I don't know why, it doesn't make sense, but I'm going. The more you follow that instinct, the more magic and surprises are there. because the other, perhaps it's a human or event, it's calling to you because you're part of it. You're part of the same energetic experience. Come play with us. Come play with us. Come play with us. So if you don't answer that, you just stay by yourself. But if you say, I'm going to play, I'm sorry, I have to leave what I was doing, I really, really have to go play over here, then you're having a magical experience because it is calling out to you and you're answering because you have free will. You don't have to answer, you don't have to do anything. But because you have free will, the same you've had every time, every breath you've taken, then you're able to follow it. And then the magic is more meaningful. It's more meaningful when you find it and find your way along the magical path than someone sitting it in front of you and then sitting you in front of it. It's not a magical experience at all. So an energetic excitement, there's always excitement around magic and connection. When it gets high and flashy and it's as if it's a beacon, an electronic beacon, and it's calling to you and you can hear it and you can't hear anything else but the beacon. Oh, my ears are buzzing. I must go to the same frequency as me. And that's how this is occurring with you.
Yeah, I haven't noticed anything in a kind of physical directions. It's just I'm noticing that I'll just randomly come into, well, I had a specific connection that I thought I would like to make with somebody who does a particular kind of healing that I've been researching. And I thought, well, I'd like to meet that person. So I just randomly reached out to somebody that I knew in a network. And it turned out, I think that person was the one that I was really needing to talk to.
You notice, we must correct you here. Do you notice how often you say the word random?
Well, it feels random for me as opposed to.
What if it's not random at all?
Mm-hmm.
What if their beacon is calling and your beacon is calling, and the two of them are oh, there you are. I was looking for you. What if you're manifesting all of this? You see, that's quite a bit of responsibility then, for that means that you have created negative experiences as well. But this is the truth of it. When you're sending your signals out, they meet and fit perfectly with another event of your making. So you'd prefer to use the word random because you don't wish to take responsibility for the disasters as well.
Oh, sorry. Can you expand on that a bit about what do you mean by the disasters?
Well, if you are sending out a beacon to something and the answers and they fit perfectly together, they're not always wonderful, magical experiences. Some of them are disasters. So you say, I'm going to get into this big, huge mess. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Here's the mess. There you are. We fit together perfectly. So if you cannot use the word random, then you're responsible for the magic and the disasters as well.
I see. This is part of the richness of the life experience.
And it causes you to notice. And then when you notice this and come to understand it, then you will start seeking your beacon in directions that are only magical. But first you must notice how powerful you are, that you may attract disaster too. You attract all of it. It is all being created energetically. You call out and say, who wants to answer this? And over there's a human who's saying, well, I'd like to answer. Well, come on then. Now they're not said in so many words, but the energy's coming together like magnets. So be careful what it is you are calling your energy or your devices out to, for you're getting an answer all of the time. Now, if you come to understand that you create your life and you're responsible for your life, then you will understand that you are also, then you are able to make it a positive, happy experience if you so choose to. But you must be responsible for the negative. Say, oh, geez, I made a mess over there, didn't I? But I'm going to live this other way now. Sometimes you still make a mess because you're human and you have some sort of past experiences, not just you, all of you. So you have past old programming and such. Every once in a while, you want a hit of disaster. Oh, God, that disaster felt good. Let me just have a little bit of it and hide it and put some shame around it and no one will know about it. That feels better now, because you're comfortable with that notion. But the importance of the time there is to notice all of it. And as you embrace all of it, the good and the bad, then you'll start to decide, I think I'll focus on those interesting, magical experiences, such as you're describing. The ones where I want to talk to someone about the miracle of angels. And all of a sudden, someone will come along. Would you like to buy a book about the miracle of angels? Well, yes, thank you. I just called that out. And thank you for responding. And that will become a different experience for you.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm noticing now as those situations are happening. So I'm just struggling with the idea that I would consciously call in a disaster.
Well,
Like,
sometimes there's a part of you that lives in shame from a past event or small child, and you want to reconfirm just through old patterning that it's still there, or that's it's familiar, or that it was real, and you call it in. It feels similar, and you take a breath. Oh, yeah, that's good. That's still there. It's this weird sort of. It's just not weird. It's a human response to past trauma and experiences that linger within you. You're many wounded humans. You're not free to fly around as love energy yet. So you've had an experience moment by moment, and many things were not positive. So they're all attached to you still. You haven't just set it all off and become a new human being at this moment. So some of these come forward with you. And it's not to be judged, it's just to be noticed. Oh, gee, I must have made that disaster. That reminds me of when I broke my brother's toy. I threw it against the wall and I wanted to smash it. Something like that. And it will be recreated in this moment. It doesn't need to say I was a bad human, shameful human, lock it away. Not that. Just the noticing of it, not the shameful attachment to it. That is the ego trying to correct bad behavior, overcorrecting, because really all that needs to be done is a noticing, and then the healing will occur and it will disappear. The extra discipline from the ego only causes your human evolution to slow down.
Interesting. Just to change topics slightly, I've been doing some reading on shamanic work, and this is this connection that I made with this lady, and so she did I'll call it an energy clearing with me, and found that I was carrying a great weight, or what she saw was this great weight of of grief. And I wasn't aware that I'd experienced a lot of grief in my life, but I said, "Oh, I don't see any use for carrying that. I'm not aware of it. Can we get rid of it?" And she says it just disappeared just as soon as I acknowledged it and let it go. So
This is
I thought it was interesting that I would be carrying something like that energetically and have no awareness of it whatsoever until she brought this to my attention.
We will explain something slightly about that. Do you understand how you carry the problems of others, thinking then that they would be free of them?
Out of concern for them, yes, I can understand that. Yeah.
Yes. So it does not necessarily mean it's your grief, but it means that you took it from someone else thinking you would help them, and it does not help, by the
Mm,
way, but you certainly have the idea that you can take things from others to help them out.
mm. Okay.
What
And
else would
that
you
and
like to?
mm,
We'll let that one go because you're going to have to sit on that. It's sort of a big notion. Humans think they help others by taking away their problems, but
mm,
that is not how it is so. For instance, we will speak of your feeding others. We don't mean give them a sandwich.
mm,
We mean lift them up so they may get their own sandwich.
mm,
It's quite a difference there. Which is the same with taking away someone else's grief that's not yours. It does not heal them. They wonder, then it creates more guilt and such because they don't know. They should have sad feelings, but they disappear. Someone took them, and now they're resentful at the human who took them. Don't be surprised at this at all. That's my grief. You took it. It's not your business. That's mine. Give it back to me. Even if it's heavy, people want to have their own emotions. They are their own to have in their own experience. It does not help to take things away from others. The only way for you to be of assistance to others, such as the starving humans,
mm.
is to raise them up so they feel as if they deserve the sandwich. And then perhaps they'll ask someone for one, they'll learn to make it themselves, they will grow and change, and eventually they will be making sandwiches and showing others that they are worthy of making sandwiches. Do you see how this goes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that through forgiveness, that if you can have somebody forgive that issue, then you can get rid of, or allow them to release the guilt and shame, or at least this is part of the shamanic concepts that they do at an energetic level. I'm just wondering about taking it from others, how that, I'm just sort of sitting on that idea, because
Yeah,
as a
this is a tricky
practitioner,
one.
you're helping them is almost as a therapeutic sense. You're helping them bring awareness to this and release it, right?
We will correct you once more. Such is the word random. The word help. You cannot help anyone. You may allow a space for others to decide if they wish to heal themselves or not, but you yourself cannot do such a thing. So be very careful with your choice of words. So you provide a place, a loving space where they're able to express whatever it is they feel. Now, this is actually the difficult part for you, because when you provide a space for others, they might be very angry, they might be sad, and you hate that one. They might cry and tear their hair out. And all you have to do is hold them in non-judgment, because they already feel shame for that, you see. So they don't need to feel your idea that you need to save them, because if you need to save them, that means there's something wrong with them. That means they should be ashamed of their feelings. All you have to do is hold the space. Hold it. Ah, you look very angry. You're pulling your hair out. Oh, you're crying now for a long time. You look very sad. And now, whatever the process is, your job is not to save them or take away their emotions, which you believe you have learned from others as a small one, that it was your job to take heavy emotions away from others so they could be free. But it was a false teaching. Others will not be free when you take their emotions away from them. They will just feel as if something's missing, and they'll be resentful at you for taking it. So your job is only to create the space. You don't help, you don't hurt, you just allow someone to be their full selves in a safe way. Do you understand this? This is a very
I
large teaching for you.
I do. I see two aspects of it as like, one would be an aspect of interference, and that's what I'm getting from what you're describing,
Yes.
is to interfere, to say you must, let me take that grief from you, or whatever it is, that shame,
Even
or
though,
pile
even
more
though,
onto it by placing judgment on it. I totally get that part of it, but there's
even
an.
though it's hello, even though it is done for good motives,
Hmm.
because it's good intentions you had.
Hmm.
Even though there's good intentions, that's not correct.
Right. But then there's aspects, and this goes back to the shamanic work of healing the child, the inner child, or the soul fragmentation, where somebody has had a negative experience and it's impacting their life going forward. So you have to kind of unpack that in order to understand what the issue was, and then help that person make work through the issue to recover that piece of themselves energetically.
So you are suggesting by that statement that you know better than the human that is in the trauma how to heal themselves, which you don't. That's why you're only able to hold the space and allow the human being within the traumatic event or having trauma in their past. They know how to heal themselves. And do you know why? Because they're energetic beings. They're attached to all information in the universe. They're attached to love. They know how to love themselves, but they've spent time on earth where humans have confused them, and they've now forgotten. All they have to do is be held in a loving space so they're able to get to the bottom of things. They hate, they love, they cry, and at the bottom of it, they're pure love, and they're
Hmm.
worthy of love. They are one with the universe of love. They are eternal love. That's at the bottom of all of this. And humans cannot always get to it until they cry and we're angry and whatever outrage they have, but not by others helping them do so. They must pull that out of themselves. All you have to do is hold them in a place of love until they're able to find it themselves. That's all. There's no helping, there's no teaching or pulling or anything. It's holding them in love until they remember themselves.
Mm.
You are learning a lot today.
Mm-hmm. I'm just thinking about some of the practices that I've watched people do in this with this in this area, and it seems to be quite magical in their ability to help people deal with these emotional traumas, and then they feel they're often feeling quite physical ailments from it, from that energy settling in a part of their body.
Yes, but the
So
human themselves that is in trauma will have to agree with the process of healing.
absolutely, yes, I understand.
So
You can't.
it is up to that human.
Yes, yes,
Yes, we will need to complete our session.
very good. Okay, thank you. That's a lot of information. Thanks. It's great to
Let
get
us do
back.
let us do namaste together.
Very good. Namaste.
Oopsies.
There we go.
Okay.
You're back.
Oh my God. All right.
All right.
Oh, that's good. If you want to stop the recording.
Yeah.